Okay. My name's Julie Garcia, and I'm 1999. It was a while ago, but it was still fun and learned a lot of good stuff. I started at Memorial Academy, which is, excuse me, it's a middle school in Logan Heights, right under the Coronado Bridge. So it was one of the, I did my student teaching there and went right into teaching and stayed there for 13 years. But I loved it. We had access to technology, and first year I joined what was called the technology team. Seemed kind of cool, and I met Bernie Dodge through a WebQuest program. And I started this program through the district, and they had us teaching using these WebQuests and so this is 99, it seems like a duh right now, but this was a while ago. So where we would actually get kids to use the internet, and we would put them in real world situations, and then we would have them like solve problems or try to teach something or learn from stuff that's out there. So basically making learning meaningful to our students and to the learners, which you'll find out through all these is basically what this program's about. Knowing your learners and making what you want them to do, getting that across to them and making them do it. So I thought, wow, well, if this WebQuest thing is anything like the way I want to teach, this program might be kind of cool. So we did it, and we did Claire's homepage, director, I think Bob, I did something on that encyclopedia, which I'm sure has been updated, I would hope. But it was a great program. I met a lot of really nice people, and I really learned to teach. I learned what it takes to look at what you want to get across to somebody and what the best way to do that is. I graduated and was down in Logan Heights, and if any of you are educators out there, you know a little bit about that lovely No Child Left Behind. So unfortunately, a lot of our energies were redirected to testing. Where does the technology fit? All that, I don't need to go too long. So our school went nonprofit charter. That at the time our district kind of wanted us to not be part of them, I guess. So we had the opportunity to kind of start over. So they said, well, let's do this technology focus. Maybe it'll give us an excuse to buy some laptops. So we started nonprofit charter. It was really exciting. And I'm like, well, hey, I've got this ed tech degree. I did some stuff. I wrote a technology plan, and I learned how to like teach people and how to, excuse me, how to work with adults and do training. So I applied to be the technology coordinator, and implemented my first year. I wrote a technology plan, which was approved by the state of California, and I was very proud of that. And then we decided, let's go one-to-one. So we did the whole PC Apple thing, ended up Apple, and so we went 200 MacBooks with students, one-to-one. They didn't take them home. We were a little nervous with the neighborhood. Anyways, but they would pick their MacBook up at the beginning of the day. They'd learn all day with it, and it was great. So here's, hopefully.
Interesting. They're working on a project here.
Yes, these students are studying natural disasters, and they're doing research on the internet, finding floods, earthquakes, volcanoes, finding the causes, going to describe some different areas where they've occurred and how to prepare for natural disasters.
They're going to make a movie?
Yes, they're going to, on their computers, they'll be able to import these images and narrate a movie about natural disasters.
Do more than one classroom have these computers?
Yes, our entire 6th grade each has a laptop computer assigned to them. We feel that we can offer technology for these students because a lot of them don't have the technology available to them at home. Okay, so unfortunately, I wish it had this like great story. I would love to fill anybody in later, but it takes a couple hours. The district, nonprofit, there's a board, there's politics, and it was unfortunately in my best interest to move. So I went to this new school called Innovation Middle School, and with the promise of a STEM-focused technology, great. I was put in back in a traditional classroom with some old MacBooks, and it's like, okay, Julie, now it's your time to practice what you preached. Okay, thanks. I'm a math major. Okay, so So I had to, I'm like, here I taught all these people, all these teachers, I worked with them for years on implementing math and everything in their one-to-one classrooms. Here I'm supposed to be this person, so I tried to challenge myself to do that. So I started creating movies with my students, and then this whole thing for this Apple Distinguished Educator program came up. And some of the people that I knew through Apple that kind of saw me through this one-to-one program said, you should apply to be an Apple Distinguished Educator. And I said, okay, what, an application won't hurt. So I did it, and it's changed it's not changed, my teaching career, it always changes, but one of the best things I've ever done. I got to go to Full Sail University, which is in Florida. It looks like Universal Studios. It's all set up with like sets for shooting. There's classes at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 24/7. There's online learning. It was great. And so it got me motivated again. My principal bought some iPod Touch devices, and I thought, okay, first of all, by seeing all these students working and not listening to the professor, I hardly ever saw a professor talking to the students. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's all I do to my poor 12-year-olds. They must hate me. I just talk all day. So try to find some ways to mix it up. And I just had this new community. There's professors, there's coordinators, there's kindergarten teachers. We're all sharing ideas with people that think alike. So this is, after wanting to get away from my classroom from the front, I made this video as a contest for Apple, and I actually won a MacBook and an iPad for my ideas, and it kind of got things rolling. So I'm going to play it.
Welcome to room B15, where Mrs. Garcia teaches 7th and 8th grade math. While some middle school students take notes and listen to teacher lectures, our teacher decided that kids these days learn differently.
This year, our teacher tried something different. She put learning into our own hands.
So she could spend more time working in small groups, she implemented station days. On these days, we break into 3 groups based on ability levels that move around the classroom. We stay more engaged in our math work and are responsible for our own learning.
I'm working on a website where I solve 2-step equations on a balanced scale. I can't imagine learning math only out of an old textbook. Learning by doing is the way to go.
Because the other students are so engaged in technology, I'm able to receive more help and feel more comfortable asking questions.
I'm working on an Algebra Touch app that teaches me how to combine like terms for solving equations.
On other days, we use apps such as Numberline to reinforce our basic skills and Die Math to prepare for factoring of polynomials.
Technology used in the right way can be motivating for students and help us work at our own pace. When I work slower at a concept, I don't feel pressured by other students to keep up.
We call this differentiation.
Mrs. Garcia saw how much fun we had on Stations Days, but knew she could do more. Instead of working with math content, she wanted us to create math content. So, she gave us a math standard and a MacBook, and away we would go.
Mrs. Garcia wasn't sure what middle school students could create in the area of mathematics, but as usual, we impressed her.
The best part is when we sync our projects to the iPod Touch devices and have our classmates learn from our projects during Stations Days. When I see my friends learning from something I created, I feel very proud.
We call this reciprocal teaching.
Stations helped me improve 2 levels in math skills. To improve 2 levels in math skills, it should have taken me 2 years, but it only took me 1. And guess what? I wasn't the only one to improve. Also, 36 of my classmates.
Ms. Garcia calls this succeeding.
Differentiation, reciprocal teaching, and success is what pushes me to be no teacher left in front. Then I think this was just a fluke because I was close by. They asked me to be, the application for Apple Distinguished Educators just came out. This was about a year ago, and they asked me to be on the picture, and you can see one of my movies on that. So I've gotten to do some pretty fun stuff with Apple. The picture, last year I went to San Miguel de Allende, which is a place in I was going to say Mexico, but it is in Mexico. And I got to welcome the new class of Apple Distinguished Educators in Mexico and collaborate with them. I talked to them about my station days, and it turns out, like, I keep getting emails from them. They're like, we did stations with 150 teachers at a professional development, and that sounded like a nightmare to me. But whatever I worked with them on and shared, I'm still collaborating with them. In fact, I get to go back to Querétaro this January to continue my work with the Apple Distinguished Educators in Mexico. And then this was the highlight of I got to go to Cupertino. Look at me, I'm like giddy. I got to go to Cupertino to Apple headquarters this summer, where I did a live webcast, which is now published on iTunes University. I recorded a couple tutorials for how to use the iPad in the math classroom and how to create movies in math. And then I did a 20-minute live webcast on some of the things that I do in my room. And also my Learning Snapshot is on iTunes U, and I'm probably running out of time. I'm sorry. This is it. What am I up to? At my school, one-to-one, I'm helping with professional development with the teachers in my district. They come to watch our department, and I'm also collaborating with EDTEC, with Marcy. Well, I got a bunch of groups that we're working on their projects, and I got videos that are being created for my classroom. So, why EdTech? I loved it because I spend all day with teachers and students, so it was really nice to spend time with people who aren't teachers. I always thought that, like, maybe I'll go do something else other than teaching, but I really love kids, so that's not going to happen. Exploring other areas of teaching. I always told everybody it's not a buy your degree. You're not just putting time in your seat. You will work, but it's meaningful work, and for me that's what's important. And most important, it teaches you to teach. And that works with adults. It works with my husband if I want him to do something, right? Like, whatever. It teaches you to get something out of your learners. So I highly recommend it. It's a great program. Thank you.
Yeah, right?